John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. Let's go to a real. Let's go to a real network. John, let's go.
Well, we're a real network too, sir.
Good morning and welcome to AM Joy. Well, we're now in season 1 of the Fox News produced presidency, partially headed up by Bill Shine, the ousted Fox News executive who now serves as Trump's communications director. And one of his first accomplishments in the Trump comms shop was Monday's made-for-TV unveiling of Trump's Supreme Court pick, Brett Kavanaugh. Vanity Fair's Gabriel Sherman reports that Shine controlled details like flattering lighting for Trump and the timing, which just happened to coincide with the A block of Fox host and Trump pal/advisor Sean Hannity's primetime show. Trump's adoration of all things Fox now serves as the backdrop of his trip to Europe, as he consistently bashes nearly any other outlet as fake news. Joining me now is Gabe Sherman, special correspondent at Vanity Fair, Eric Boehlert, senior writer at Shareblue Media, Zerlina Maxwell, director of progressive programming at SiriusXM, and Jason Johnson, politics editor at The Root. And Gabe, I'll start with you and read a little bit from your piece about the Kavanaugh rollout. Hannity has already seemingly benefited from Shine's appointment, who's, I think, they're best friends. Shine timed Kavanaugh's announcement at the start of Hannity's 9 p.m. Fox show, in part to reward Hannity with monster ratings that a huge news event generates, and he got big ratings.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, I think this was an early indication that Bill Shine is really now producing the White House like a media company, both, you know, timing the rollout to get maximum ratings, and then also the stagecraft of the more attractive lighting. You know, there is some sort of element to that you do need to produce these events. But this is really a case that Trump has decided that he is going to only speak to the Fox News audience.
There's even the way that Kavanaugh sounded, the way he was scripted to basically, as they all do, to sound like Donald Trump. Let's play Kavanaugh at the nomination on Monday.
No president has ever consulted more widely or talked with more people from more backgrounds to seek input about a Supreme Court nomination. Mr. President, I am grateful to you, and I'm humbled by your confidence in me. Thank you.
You know, Zerlina, one of the criticisms of President Obama, even from people who are big fans of President Obama, was that he is such an eloquent speaker and such a great sort of performer, political performer, but that once he got into the White House, he kind of shunned the performative aspects of the presidency to really drill down and be a policy wonk and do the policy aspects of the presidency, and that he was an excellent president from the standpoint of providing moral leadership, and he's a great family man, and he had this sort of optics, but he didn't do the performance. Donald Trump only does the performance, and he also has his cast of characters do the performance just like him. Are we getting to a point now where the American people are going to expect a reality show, that this performative presidency, which doesn't need a substance, just performance, becomes the new normal?
I hope not. And I do think that, you know, certainly American consumers are conditioned to expect a reality show and something that is made and produced for television. But I would also say that there are a lot of aspects of this plot, for lack of a better word, that are negative for the president, right? As a part of this reality show, you also have what's going on the border. And so I think that Americans are looking at this show and saying there's a complete lack of substance on the one hand, but also you're seeing human rights abuses as a part and subplot of this reality show. And that's probably not what the White House wants.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, Eric, you have this produced presidency. It is sort of just a produced program that is an extension of Fox News, but that now will then become an extension of Sinclair Broadcasting. Sinclair Broadcasting and then take that show and feed it into the homes of, what, 70, 80 million Americans every night.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, we are so far past, like, Fox is a propaganda of the Republican Party. It is now state-run, and they are at war with the free press. I mean, you look at that Kavanaugh, there is no way he wrote that first line. He wrote the next line. I'm deeply honored. Someone wrote that for him. He looked at it and said, oh, my God, I guess I have to write, I have to read this. But for me, you know, this production, I agree that with Gabriel that, you know, that's what Shine did. I think it was kind of a bust. You know, ratings were down overall, and the biggest drop was from Fox News. I think there's fatigue even among the base. To me, the bigger Bill Shine effect was that disaster at the press conference with Trump and May, where Trump, this internationally televised press conference, two of the most powerful leaders in the free world decided to just go all in and denigrate the free press.
Yeah.
Right? This is authoritarian 101. This is what we're seeing with the press in places like Hungary, Romania, Poland, and places like that. This is what they do on the national stage, and it's incredibly dangerous.
We were just talking with Chris Dickey about it because it's sort of a Berlusconiization of American politics where basically the leader is fused with the media and they simply deny reality, and they have a whole tranche of people who will believe only the reality given to them by Donald Trump and his associated media. And I want to come to you on this, Jason Johnson, to that very point. This was a back and forth with another Rupert Murdoch outlet. So the Sun is also part of Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News' empire. Here's Donald Trump claiming that an interview he did on tape with the Sun is fake news. Take a listen.
I didn't criticize the Prime Minister. I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister. And unfortunately, there was a story that was done, which was, generally fine, but it didn't put in what I said about the Prime Minister. And I said tremendous things. And fortunately, we tend to record stories now, so we have it for your enjoyment if you'd like it. But we record when we deal with reporters. It's called fake news. And we solve a lot of problems with the good old recording instrument.
But the recording instrument recorded him actually saying the thing that he was said to have said. And the Sun responded, but used his terminology in their response. They said, we stand by our reporting and the quotes that we used, including those where the president was positive about the Prime Minister. So they're conceding to him and saying, no, we did put the positive stuff in both the paper and in our audio. And we're delighted that the president essentially retracted his original charge against the paper in the press conference, a Sun spokesman said. And then they go, to say the president used fake news with any serious intent is, well, fake news. So they're pushing back, but they're also adopting his terminology.
Right. And Joy, in American parlance, we would call this receipts, right? Like, it's really clear. Like, the president is a notorious liar when he has any interactions with foreign leaders, whether it's Peña Nieto, Kim Jong-un, Andrea Merkel, Theresa May. He consistently claims that he didn't say things about him that he gets caught for. But here's what's important, and I agree with this on two levels. One, I never say fake news. I never say alternative facts, because I refuse to allow the earworm of this man's language to become part of my parlance when I discuss American politics. To the degree that we begin to use the terminology of Donald Trump is the degree to which we allow him and the disingenuous and dangerous way that he runs this country to become normalized. Even language is a form of normalization we have to resist. But one other thing I want to mention, this kind of thing I talk to my students at Morgan State about, I talk to any journalist about who are in this industry. This industry also works because journalists have each other's backs professionally. And what happened in the UK, where Fox allowed other news outlets to be insulted that way and then took up the slack and validated what the president did, is an embarrassment to that entire news organization. There are some good people who work at Fox, and they should be ashamed of themselves for allowing themselves to be used that way by this president.
And not only that, Gabe, but you now have another sort of artifact of authoritarian governments is that they reward state media, media that will play ball, and they punish anyone who is critical of the leader. You now have the White House punishing CNN, not just refusing to take Democrats' questions, but retracting an interview that John Bolton had scheduled. We all got that list of who was going to be on the Sunday shows. He was on the list. It gets retracted. Jake Tapper then tweets out, Ambassador Bolton had been locked in for tomorrow's State of the Union. Then the president attacked CNN during the UK press. Our White House correspondent tried to ask a question. That's all he was trying to do. We were told Ambassador Bolton remains fully prepared to do the interview. The White House canceled it. Then Sarah Huckabee Sanders responds. This is the spokeswoman for the president. Actually, a CNN reporter disrespected the POTUS and PMA. So instead of rewarding bad behavior, we decided to reprioritize, essentially saying that asking a question was disrespecting the leader, and therefore, because he didn't show enough deference, therefore we punished CNN. That is not benign.
Well, and then you add on top of that, the icing on that cake is that Donald Trump is granting 2 post-Putin interviews. And who is he talking to? First, Sean Hannity, and then Tucker Carlson. And who is Vladimir Putin talking to? Chris Wallace, also of Fox News. So not only is this White House punishing CNN for asking questions, it's then giving exclusive access from one of those high-profile foreign policy moments of this presidency to its preferred network, Fox News.
And you didn't, I mean, President Obama used to go on Fox News. I mean, he was more on Fox News more than he was on MSNBC.
And they used to interrupt him between every single sentence.
Between every sentence. So it's not as if you had the equivalent on the other side.
And on top of that, the rest of the Washington Press Corps rounded up behind Fox News when the Obama White House did try to isolate.
Absolutely. And the other interview that Donald Trump granted, The Sun, which is Rupert Murdoch's paper, and Piers Morgan, who got an exclusive, the former apprentice who won The Apprentice, his friend.
The problem here, you know, John Roberts was completely classless at that press conference, and you know, Trump is attacking CNN on a massively international televised stage. This wasn't a little, you know, sideshow at the White House or something like this. And even the British press was just completely gobsmacked. And John Roberts jumped right in and asked a question. A couple hours later, he issued some feeble statement saying, well, that was unfair. Look, there has to be collective, institutional response from the press. I've been saying this for 2 years when the Trump campaign was herding reporters into metal pens.
And then directing the crowd to heckle them.
There has to be stand up. You have to stand up to the bullies. Because if you don't, the damage to democracy is incalculable.
And Jason, I know you want to get into why it isn't happening, though. That isn't happening.
It's not happening.
Right. Well, it happened a little bit last year. You remember when the White House tried to sort of prevent press conferences or not have press conferences recorded, and there was enough screaming and yelling that now we got press conferences back. But it needs to be consistent. In the event that Fox decides that they just want to completely abdicate any responsibility and become state-run news, then it's the obligation for all the other networks and reporters to treat them as such, and to no longer run what their clips are, to no longer validate the garbage that they're producing if they don't want to actually be a news organization, and that they just want to be a mouthpiece for pre-authoritarianism. And that's the next step of this decision, because I don't believe that the press is going to collectively behave properly, and so therefore Fox needs to be treated as what it is if they decide to follow that route.
It is interesting because there was a collective, just horror among the press corps at Michelle Wolf when she made her her comedy routine. You haven't seen that sort of collective outrage at the way that even other fellow members of the press corps are being treated.
There was also collective outrage during the campaign when Hillary Clinton used a rope to put reporters in one section of a rally, and they acted like, she was the authoritarian dictator. And now we actually see somebody who is embodying authoritarian behavior actually only going to the state-run media, and apparently we're too afraid to call it out in the same way we did with Hillary Clinton. I'm calling BS on that. I think that the reporters should stand up to Donald Trump, and I have no idea why they won't. And maybe the only reason is because they want continued access to this White House. But again, I don't know why that. They're not getting access.
To what?
But I also don't know why that is, because it's not as if when you get access, you're getting the truth from this White House either.
And Bill Shine coming into this and the sort of production of the presidency, they understand clearly that they can do this, right? That they can have this direct pipeline to Fox News, that they can sort of integrate their operation with a media outlet, and that there really isn't any, there's no punishment for it, there's no downside for it. They're not going to lose anything by doing it.
Yeah, I mean, all of my reporting that I've heard is that Bill Shine and the president now have an incredibly close relationship. They see eye to eye. They're, familiar personalities, and I think now we're going to see basically a symbiosis between Donald Trump, the Oval Office, and then certain aspects of Fox News, especially Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. I mean, these primetime shows that speak to millions of people are going to have a direct pipeline to this White House because Bill Shine used to work with these people every single day.
Yeah, and what happens then to the outlets who also thought they were going to get in on this, the Breitbarts of the world, the Daily Callers? Do they get in on this? Does Sinclair, because Sinclair is fused in a lot of the same way.
Right, there could be resentment. I mean, this literally does become a closed loop between Bill Shine and Fox News. They get every interview, they get all the access.
Because Breitbart, these others, and Newsmax, these are competitors to Fox News.
Breitbart, used to have the Bannon in. They used to get some interesting interviews and access that way. I don't know. I think they're also loyal to this
Newsmax has actually been relatively aggressive in covering Bill Shine's appointments. So there are sort of fractures on the right as they see this preferred access that Fox gets. Some of the other ones may. I mean, the danger is that you actually then, it splinters and they turn back on the White House.
Right.
Yeah. The idea that the conservative press is ever going to stand up to this White House is minimal.
Right. They're never going to do that.
And they also, Jason, have the experience of the one interview that he granted to our own Lester Holt.
Yes.
Sideways.
Exactly.
When he admitted obstruction.
Right, because if the president ever has a conversation with like a real functional journalist, then he's going to indict himself, and that's what they're desperately afraid of. But here's the other thing I think is important to remember: we also have to look at the quality of the people that he's speaking to at Fox News. There are real reporters at Fox News, just like there are real reporters in other places. But he's speaking to Sean Hannity, who's connected to the Russia investigation through Cohen, and it's basically welfare to Tucker Carlson at this particular point, given what his ratings are. And I think it's very important that we remember that the president is literally propping up a business in a way as well. I mean, you talk about choosing favorites in the press. He is propping up a business in order to promote authoritarianism, and that is a danger to the future of this country.
Well, propping up one business and continually attacking the Washington Post, Amazon, other businesses that are parallel to it and trying to denigrate them. Gabriel Sherman and Eric Boehlert, thank you very much. Zerlina and Jason will be back. And next, the three